After an episode of Monday Night Raw like that, I had to jump on and give my reaction, give my takes as to what many people are considering, me included, one of the best episodes of Raw of this year. And I know that is a popular statement that's being thrown around. Certainly, I know I've said it a couple times on this channel. But with the quality of stories, with the quality of stars and matches that are being produced on a weekly basis, I mean, how can you not? First and foremost, I want to just jump right into it and talk about the debut of the Wyatt Sicks, Joe Gacy, Dexter Loomis, and Eric Rowan, defeating the newly formed team American Made, which is the Creed brothers and Chad Gable. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's gonna take me a second to get used to that name. I was really hoping that they would go like a tribute to Team Angle and call it Team Gable. It is what it is, I mean, I'm sure it'll give me time to get used to it. Obviously, Gable is associated with American Alpha, and then there was the Alpha Academy, and now we're going back to American Made. I mean, but I digress. The debut itself for the group I thought was well done. One of the more interesting points that I wanted to tackle was the use of the Bray Wyatt theme song Shatter. We know that prior to their match and prior to their appearances, they had references to the song With the Bells Toll. I was kind of skeptical whether or not they would keep it. I'm glad they did because it allows like a little connective tissue to Bray Wyatt, him being the sixth member of the Wyatt Six. I love that theme song, and to see them use it as their theme, I think was a great touch. But nonetheless, I thought it was a great opportunity to really showcase the athleticism and the character work of each individual. We know what to expect from each individual given what they had put in prior gimmicks and prior times with the company. But to see them come out as a collective unit, and you had Uncle Howdy and Abby the Witch on the outside of the ring watching them, I thought it was a great match. I thought it was great for what it was supposed to be, and it was an introduction to the characters. Again, as I mentioned, Joe Gacy, Loomis, and Rowan. The crowd really played into it. The crowd, by the way, in Baltimore was on fire. They had some of the best reactions, some of the best chants for this Monday Night Raw, and it felt like such a big deal. Very much so to like the night after WrestleMania. This had so much going on. I mean, we have storylines that have kind of been resolved. More of them have been, further along, and we'll be seeing them continue on the following weeks of Raw. But with the Wyatt Six, just to wrap that bow real quick, a competitive matchup too, which I like. A lot of times in the past, we've seen a new group or a new wrestler being introduced, and they get these quick victories, these quick squash matches to demonstrate or illustrate, a sense of dominance. We got a competitive matchup here between American Made and the Wyatt Six, which is always really good. I enjoy that it was a quality matchup, and we didn't really completely bury American Made, specifically since it was their first match as a trio. But yeah, just great. I think the big story coming out of it though has to be the story around the Judgment Day. Everyone knows by now Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley are gone from the Judgment Day. The new iteration of the group is Finn Balor seemingly as the leader, and having guys like JD McDonough, Carlito, Dominic Mysterio, and apparently Liv Morgan now, which I think is very interesting because you basically, substituted Rhea and plugged in Liv Morgan. And as it stands right now, Judgment Day has 3 titles. Obviously, the 2 tag team champions and the women's world champion, Liv Morgan. Damian Priest. Oh my God, there's just so much to talk about, right? Damian Priest is a bona fide star. I'm so happy for him. I know there was a lot of criticism about his run with Money in the Bank. He ultimately won the World Championship, and people were skeptical about his championship reign, whether it was like an afterthought to guys like Cody Rhodes, to guys like Gunther, and I thought what he was able to do. And it's interesting enough, you don't really see a lot of times that a world champion kind of gets over as world champion. Most of the time, we see that guy get over and then lead to a world title. But throughout his reign, Damian Priest became more popular with each passing month. He essentially turned into a babyface before our very eyes. So to see the reaction that he had received in Baltimore, I mean, the segment in which he came out and interrupted the broadcast and was calling out Finn Balor, it was intense. It was great. It was believable. He was just cost his World Heavyweight Championship, and although he said He wasn't mad about the world title. He was mad at Finn Balor that he was the one that cost him his championship. And then obviously Finn Balor comes out, and I love Finn Balor as a babyface. I think he's one of the more likable baby faces, but him as a heel, you can really tell he likes to sink his teeth into that character work. So to see him now evolve again as, again, seemingly the leader of the Judgment Day, that's my interpretation. Damian Priest, super over with the crowd, though. Super over with the crowd. His match with JD McDonough, one of the more entertaining matches on the night. We saw him against JD McDonough. We had interference from Finn Balor, Carlito, Dominic, Liv, and then what a pop by Rhea Ripley when she comes out to make the save and help out her fellow Terror Twin Damian Priest, fend off the heels. That choke slam, or as he calls it, South of Heaven. Wow, the elevation that Damian Priest got on JD McDonough, the crowd absolutely electrifying for that segment. And it was a quick segment. I mean, following the disqualification and then leading to the beatdown, leading to Rhea Ripley arrival, leading to JD McDonough receiving that choke slam. Just wonderfully done. Rhea Ripley is already a certified mega star within the WWE. Damian Priest well on his way. He seems so comfortable in that role of like babyface, but just like a cool, tough guy babyface. Very much how he was in the early days of NXT, but I'm talking upgrade. Like, this is the best version of Damian Priest that I've seen. He now has a purpose, he has a clear mission, and that is to exact revenge on Finn Balor. So whenever they have that inevitable matchup between the two, man, that's a matchup that I could see taking place at Bad Blood. And Bad Blood is just going to be loaded with all these great matches and great stories. Obviously, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest and Finn Balor, the Bloodline saga. We could see maybe Solo versus Roman. I doubt it, but it could happen. But another one that really catched my attention, or rather caught my attention, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. That one definitely could be on the card for Bad Blood. And CM Punk comes out, and he is in a good mood, he says, because he finally came back to in-ring action. He's cleared by the medical staff, but he's interrupted by Seth Rollins, which naturally makes sense. Him and Seth Rollins had a little bit of a go at SummerSlam, and Seth Rollins says, finally, after 10 years, I can finally put you in the dirt, and then that comes out with Drew McIntyre. And this is by far my favorite story on Monday Night Raw. Maybe my favorite story in WWE, because they've taken their time and crafted these characteristics. They've crafted these individual disputes that each individual has with one another. So Punk and Rollins are locking eyes. These guys want to go, and Drew McIntyre, trying to poke the bear and get the attention of CM Punk, he finally does by referencing the bracelet that bears the name of AJ Lee and Larry. CM Punk makes a beeline for Drew McIntyre through the crowd, and just when we think the segment ends, here is Seth Rollins left in the middle of the ring, and we get an attack by Bronson Reed, who earlier in the night was talking to Adam Pearce saying, where's my opportunity? I should have a match. And he says, okay, I realize in order to get to the top, I have to carve my own path. And what a segue to the next story, essentially. Seth Rollins, I'm guessing, will be feuding with Bronson Reed, but Bronson Reed, man, demolished, absolutely demolishes Seth Rollins with not one, not two, not three, not even four. You thought five, but actually 6 huge tsunamis, 6 huge dives from the top rope. The crowd, again, great reaction by the Baltimore crowd. You would have had me thought that they were cheering Bronson Reed more than Seth Rollins. Of course, towards the end of the segment, they came around and were singing Seth's song and cheering him on. But the brutality that Bronson Reed brought to Seth Rollins, I would, hesitant to guess that we won't be seeing Seth for maybe a week or two, just because of the way he was selling that attack. There was a little bit of blood coming out of the mouth of Seth Rollins. They kept hinting at the idea that he was suffering from an internal injuries, which, I mean, naturally, you have a big boy, a big thick boy like Bronson Reed jumping from the top rope 6 times. on top of Seth Rollins. I'm willing to bet he might have a little bit of an internal injury there. So I don't think we'll see him maybe next week. Minimum, I would see him taking the week off. But that's your next story. That's going to be your way to bridge Seth Rollins to CM Punk. Obviously, Punk isn't done by Drew McIntyre by any means. So we're going to have Seth be a little bit busy with Bronson Reed while these two, figure it out and end up settling their feud. I think CM Punk eventually does come back against Seth Rollins. I think that's your feud for WrestleMania 41 because it just, how can it get bigger than that? That's CM Punk and his mission to main event WrestleMania. Will it be a main event for WrestleMania 41? I don't think so. I think there's still a shot, but I think it's fair to say it'll probably be like the World Championship night 1, WWE title night 2, typically how it goes, unless if The Rock and the Bloodline decide to meddle in again. But I digress. Another huge event was the opening. Gunther comes out celebrating his world title win at SummerSlam, and we get a surprise appearance by Randy Orton, who naturally has a little bit of a qualm with the new world champion. He says that it's partly his fault that Gunther's the now the world champion because of what happened at the King of the Ring. Had he defeated Gunther, he very well could be a current world champion. But what had happened was, and to quote my mom who says that very much often, what had happened was he did not have his shoulder down on the mat, so it began developing this kind of controversy of, is Gunther legitimately the winner? When are we going to revisit this match between Gunther and Randy Orton? Part of the audience, me included, thought, well, they'll probably have like a return match where the winner gets the King of the Ring title or a championship opportunity. And they didn't do that. They didn't touch it. Instead, it'll be the first title defense for Gunther, who accepts the challenge by Randy Orton at Bash in Berlin for the World Heavyweight title. That'll probably end up being your main event for that, being that it is going to be in Berlin, Germany, and it's going to be the home country of Gunther. Naturally, I think that's what we're going to end up doing for that. I think it's a great choice for the first title defense for Gunther, given that there's already a built-in story. And you just saw the match that the two had. And in Saudi Arabia at the King and Queen of the Ring event, I'm expecting a great match. I can't wait for it. I'm looking forward to it. Monday Night Raw really delivered. And there's so much more to build off of. Obviously, the Wyatt Sicks, the continued implosion of the Judgment Day. I mean, for God's sakes, we saw Odyssey Jones make a debut. I mean, you look at, what was it, 2 years ago in the draft, they said the Odyssey Jones was going to Monday Night Raw. We haven't seen him since, and he helps out Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods against the Final Testament. I would have never called that. I personally, I'm surprised they didn't release him by now, but he's still with the company. They're gonna put him to use, and apparently now, I'm reading on the internet. I don't know if it's 100% accurate or not, but Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix, the Lucha Brothers, their contract might be expiring with AEW and they're looking to join the WWE. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. It's the internet. You can't believe everything you read. That's a huge get if they can get them, because on top of that, we've seen reports that the Motor City Machine Guns are joining WWE, and if the Lucha Brothers join too, wow, what a tag team division. I mean, wow, like stacked. Absolutely stacked. But again, it's only rumors and speculation. We don't know that to be fact. Until we see them on WWE TV, can make an assumption. But still, it'd be pretty cool. Well, that was my quick reaction to Monday Night Raw. Thank you guys for joining me. Of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep up to date with all the pro wrestling content that is produced on this channel. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.